Hey y'all, welcome to the Standing on Business podcast, where ambition meets action. From career moves to life lessons,
our podcast is dedicated to supporting you as you navigate both the personal and professional growth journey.
Ultimately giving you the confidence to always stand in your truth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Standing on Business podcast. I'm your co-host Amari.
And I'm Bianca.
And today we're diving into our episode called We're Stronger Together. Really today we want to talk about our 3 C's that we always bring up, which is community, connection, and collaboration. Because as you all know, we know that no one builds anything great on their own. To that point, if you've been with us from season 1 to season 2, you'll also know how much we value connection and networking and doing so in an authentic way, which is also why I think we wanted to bring up the whole theme of We're Stronger Together. It's the holiday season. It's a time where people are getting together with their families and loved ones to have really great momentous occasions and food and fellowship and all the things. And so we really wanted to hone in on that theme and bring someone in today, because this is a guest episode, bring someone in super special that could have, a deeper conversation with us about what is it like to truly build genuine, authentic connection from the ground level all the way up to 5,000 feet. So with that, I will.
Yes, and if you remember in a previous episode earlier this season, we had 2 amazing guests, Saray and Gavon, who talked all about creative collaboration. So our guest today has some amazing examples of how he's taken those ideas, just like Amaria said, and really turned them into community. He is a leader in his own right. He is an amazing person to know. And so I'm very happy to welcome Josh Owen to the Standing on Business podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for being here with us.
It sounds so great when you say it. I'm like, oh man, one more time. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that your name holds weight in a lot of rooms and in the world, and so that's probably why it feels so good.
You guys got to come with me more places.
Oh, listen, happy. Listen, I would love to be in the rooms that you're in, so don't tempt me with a good time, Josh.
No, I'm excited because I feel like you can give so much to people just on you. I feel like every time I see you, it's a new idea. You're like, hey, I have this new series. I have this new thing I'm doing. Welcome, come. And you're always bringing in more and more people. So I appreciate that. So I'm going to give just a little background on Josh before he tells us more about himself, because I'm sure, people are probably going to be very interested in knowing your journey. So let me make sure I know and get all the facts straight. So Josh is the co-owner of Comfystone. He is the founder of the Entrepreneur Club at Common House. He is also he has a soon-to-be incorporated entrepreneurship ecosystem group, which is amazing, which I hope to be joining soon. And he is also one of the minds behind Brand Intervention, which is a new series where he collaborates with marketing experts to help business owners elevate their brands and tell their stories. So Josh, that's about 4 different, it's about 4 different things right there. But please, tell us more about your journey and how you got started and how you got to this point of really building, all these community assets, essentially.
Man, I mean, where do I even begin? It's like it all started way back in the day, where I think I've always had a knack for wanting to start community and doing community groups. And so I think at the end of the day, it's it mixes. I'm just an entertainer at heart. I like people, I like connection, and I like solving problems. And I think that kind of came out of that naturally. I mean, I founded a media company, and we, did a lot of video work, and through that we did communities in film, we did communities in music, and then I think once we came out of the pandemic and got to where I'd always been a part of co-working spaces growing up in business, and you really see community in different forms when you go from co-working space to co-working space. And I think that I started to get these ideas, and then I got to this place called Common House that's now in New Orleans, and I think they did something. They put I had these seeds, they had these seeds, and we kind of it was a good mishmash, and then that kind of came together, and from there it was just off to the races. And so from that point on, it was just more like, because I always want to try new things. Yeah, like you said, like I feel like probably my identity to most people is like, well, there goes Josh. He's got he's got 10 more new ideas. It's like, I'm like, you don't even know what all is cooking up in here. It's like we got all kinds of things. So it's like, so I think that is a big part of it. And so I think just being able to be in a space like Common House and then have that energy, and then it's carried me over. And now it's like a snowball that's kind of just like rolling down a hill, and then I'm like, oh my God, I guess I've got it now. I got to keep going. So, so that's kind of, I guess that's like the quick and dirty version of it.
No, this is good. Did you always know that building community would be a part of like your business models?
Yeah, I think so. I think community is vital to all business models. I think every business needs a community, but I think that the actual like aspect of trying to, I think for me, it's more like there's a lot of like old guards in the community and like in every community. And sometimes I feel like it's time for new ideas to get through, especially when it comes to things that are like old concepts like networking, sales, etc. And so like, I think that's just really important. And I think to me, that's just been something that's been on my mind because of like going back to it. What I was saying before is like being in co-working spaces. I saw that there's a lot of, I mean, you think about it, gyms, etc. Like everybody's trying to figure out how to build community, but like, but more so just any business really. Like, it's, if you're a clinic or whatever it is, you still have a community. If you're a nonprofit, you have a community. It's just like everybody has community. I think that's like understanding that is important.
No, I love that. And I love like your kind of callback to those co-working spaces, because I think it really fits the theme of today's conversation of like, it took kind of everyone's perspective being in those spaces to pull together, I would say kind of like a business thought for you, of like that experience formulated into something else of like, hey, maybe this is a way to formalize the experience that I'm having and scale it to where other people have this sense of community as well, to be able to soundboard ideas off of one another or add, value to each other's projects and whatnot. I think just even you having that experience like shows we truly are stronger together, because your nature versus nurture and the environments that you grew up in and the things that you've experienced might be vastly different than my world, but that doesn't mean that there isn't value that we can both bring to the table and source out to something that would be greater than bigger than either of us. And saying that to say you've done that. And I think that's beautiful. I think it's amazing. But I want to ask if there's any particular point where you felt like, I feel this gap and I need to do something about it. Like at what point in your career or your professional trajectory did you realize like, okay, there's a need and no one else is doing this work, so I have to be the person, to go out here and,
Yeah, that's so interesting. When I have these conversations, I have to like really keep myself in check, because in the sense that like, I just, from this perspective of like, because you ask those questions and sometimes, it's really funny when I talk about, I guess you talk about this with all people, and it's like, and at the end of the day, you're always kind of realizing like, if there's a gap, then in a weird way, you're kind of calling out the people that aren't taking care of the gap. And so it's like, so I don't want to necessarily always call out people, but it's like, but yeah, there is a gap. There's always layers of things that are missing. I mean, that's why entrepreneurship exists, but it's like, kind of going back to some of the things that you were even just talking about beforehand, which is like, there is, what does community really provide? Yeah. It's like, it's like, sure, I could go read a tutorial about how to be the best at sales or whatever and spend hours on ChatGPT or now and like looking online, but it's like there's so many options and there's so many like rabbit holes to go down. It's like at that point you're spinning your wheels, spending so much time, like you don't really know what's right for you, and it's like somebody that had already like done all that groundwork can come into your life and immediately touch you and just say, hey, like I know I've been there and this is what I did.
Yep.
Boom, you just like leveled up like 5 steps and you didn't have to waste all that time reading. And it's like, I'm illiterate, you know, I don't even like reading, you know? So it's like, you know, no, but it's like, you know, but it's just like, yeah, it's so much better. And it's kind of like what you're saying is like, I, you know, walked in, one of the major things that I first started with outside of Entrepreneur Club, like really like, and that's really like what I love about it is because in Entrepreneur Club, we talk about like the problems we're going through as entrepreneurs. And then I'm able to see, you know, one-on-one with everybody that's like, hey, like this is the problem. This is like what people are dealing with. And honestly, the biggest gap, in my opinion, in like every community group, like hands down, is that there needs to be a person that is in every gym, every co-working space, every chamber of commerce, every single group that manages people. You need to have this new role that doesn't exist right now, but you need to have a person that literally sits down with people. Their job is just to sit with all the community members one-on-one and talk to them and get to know them as people and understand like them and their problems, what they say is their problem and what they're not saying is their problem because they don't know it's their problem. And so it's like, that's what you need.
To the project manager in me, so going back to process improvement, like you made a point of not necessarily wanting to call out the elephant in the room, but I think sometimes that's necessary. It's like a necessary agent of chaos for the good that comes on the other side of that. Like to your point, I think whenever someone's the new kid on the block or you're the least tenured person, like the beauty in that is you're coming in with a fresh perspective. So you can see whatever outdated systems or processes are there and you can, you know, however you choose to lean in. Hopefully it's respectful, you know, and it's of value, and it's productive, but you can contribute something like you said of like, I would have never, even just the idea that you just gave of saying like, you know, all of these different communities needs at least one like liaison type of role that is the conduit for connection between being able to solve a need or a gap and then also being able to identify that and doing, to your point, some of the interpersonal piece that you don't get when you're not connected. Like it's even as we like, because you're talking about rabbit holes, we could really keep going down into like the world of AI and tech.
And that role in itself, like I would never, clearly you have really thought about this and you are a part of so many different groups. And I see it because I go to Entrepreneur Club sometimes. So it's just like, that is a very important role. And as I probably go to other, like I'm a part of the chamber, New Orleans and Co. And it's like, okay, is that an actual role? And like, wow, Josh really brought up something that is a definite need. One of the things I do want to ask, though, before we segue into our next section, is really as you build all these things from brand interventions, which I know it's newer, but Comfystone, you've been doing it for a while. What has been the most rewarding aspect of all of this? Like I know you have so many people that you connect with on a weekly basis, or daily basis, really. I see you all the time, and so would love to ask, like, what is the most rewarding thing that you feel like you've experienced throughout your journey?
Yeah, man, the most is always an interesting question because it's like when people ask me like, what's your favorite movie? What's your most, you know, it's like I'm always, you know, torn between a lot of experiences. I think the things that come to mind like right out the gate is, I think I'm just like such a people person. So I think that like for me, the most rewarding experiences are hearing the impact from the person's lips that it impacted. So it's like, I remember, this one guy who's in one of my groups, we had this like work group and it was just like a smaller group. And, you know, when you're trying to build groups, you're always like, oh man, it's a smaller group, dang. But like, also, it's kind of crazy though, because the smaller groups end up being some of the better groups because it's just so much more intimate. But I remember his name's Philip. Shout out to Philip. Yeah, you know Phil. Yeah, and he said something along the lines of, you know, he wasn't gonna lie that like he was really feeling down, but like that was like something he needed to like get through. And I feel like when I hear that impact, even like, and I like also at Common I was host trivia, and I have this email from one of the guys that went and like. And I was reading it today and I was like, man, just how much he felt. I just feel like right now, the biggest thing, and this is probably my biggest ethos, and this is the most rewarding part of everything, is like, I feel, and of all the work I've ever done, which is that basically I want people to feel like, I feel like the hardest, everybody just wants to be heard.
Yeah.
And I feel like the best thing I can do for people is to make them feel heard. And so when I know that like when I can hear that feedback that they have been heard, like that's huge to me. That's like the biggest thing. Like whether it's like, you know, solving their problem, like making a great video for them, or you know, doing something for them in the community, or just being there when they're having a tough day. That's, to me, that's everything.
Josh, I feel like we could almost end the episode.
Like, I really appreciated hearing that. I think to your point, like, it goes to show that because we talk about purpose a lot on this show and being aligned in purpose, and it goes to show that you are a testament of what that looks like, of when you do things that are tied to what you're supposed to be doing for reasons that are bigger than you or beyond you, that have real impact, you get that back. Like I would assume you leave your days, most days, feeling fulfilled. And I think that's a feeling that money can't buy. You can't put a price tag on that feeling. And so I really appreciate you sharing with both Bianca and I, but also with our audience, because I feel like in today's time, like, we're in a world of instant gratification and lack of process. And so it's nice to see, again, going back to how you've built something out of truly nothing. And also now on the other end of that, you get to see the reward being so much bigger than just tangible value. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
No. Sometimes I just chop things out and I'm like, it's amazing.
No, this is good. As we do talk more and more about connection, we thought it would be fun to do a little game with you. We're gonna do a this or that. Basically like connection edition. Just to give, rapid fire, get to know your opinions on certain things. So me and Amari will kind of.
I do have opinions.
Yes. No, it's very light. It's very lighthearted. We'll take turns going back and forth, asking you different this or that, and you tell us which one you prefer. So I will start off. Would you rather a small, intimate dinner or a big networking mixer? Man, this is my problem with these kind of questions sometimes, because I'm like, what goal am I looking for? Because I've been in networking situations long enough to know, like, I know how to work a networking event. Like, really, like, I get in, it's like, there is an art to it. And that's one thing I want to hopefully solve, is help people figure out how to manipulate that art. But, I mean, nothing beats an intimate dinner with the right people. So I guess, like, if it was an intimate dinner with the right people that I needed to meet, then, like, that's going to win every time. But if it's an intimate dinner with the wrong people, then I guess.
Yeah. I want to take that a step further, too, because a lot of our audience tunes in because they just may not have the answers or been given this information ever. You mentioned that, like, at this point, you're tenured, you could work any room, but if you were just starting out, what, I guess, would you promote for someone who is looking to get into networking and get real value from it, whether it is big or small, like maybe a tip? Like, what's
a tip?
How should someone stick their toe in the pond of networking?
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, I mean, I have so many thoughts on that. It's kind of like, it's tough because, like,
that's another episode.
Yeah, honestly, it's a whole thing, because it's basically, I mean, the way I'll just, like, sum it up is just say that, like, just understand what you offer and try, and if you don't have a good grasp on it, then just try and get people to meet with you to better understand that. Because I would say 90% of the people that I know that are in my groups are not prepared for, like, aren't ready for a networking event. Like, there's audience segmentation, there's surveying, there's so many things you need to do. You need to perfect your pitch that most of these people haven't done before they've even gotten to the networking event. So it's kind of like, you need to figure all that out first, but it's a good training ground to kind of get dirty and, like, practice it as you go. And I mean, everybody has things to learn about it, but it's just like, you're going to not get a lot of value out of it if you don't. But the main tip I would say, though, is, because that's not really a tip, I'd say the main tip would be just like when you meet someone at a networking event, if it's a big networking event, compartmentalize them in your brain, and then just in a way, like, okay, they're going to be good for this, they're going to be a client, they're going to be someone that can introduce me to people, and then just say, all right, great, I'm going to get your email or take your card, and I'll be in touch. Just like if you spend too long talking to someone, then at a big event, you'll miss everybody else. So it's just like immediately try and figure out, like, steer the conversation enough to figure out what you want, what value you need from them, and then get their contact and then move on. Because once you ask for their contact, it's a really good like way to break the conversation. Like, oh yeah, well let me get your contact, and then they're like, oh perfect, and then they're like, all right, well then I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye. So it's easy.
You're really a networking expert.
Yes, no, truly. And I love your answer because you mentioned talking about like how important the prep is. I think a lot of people don't even like recognize that is a part of the whole process of networking, is how well are you going into this, into the space. To that point, you also segued our next this or that question unknowingly. So I love it. So for you, Josh, because I have a rule of like, if I get a business card, I never throw it away. What is your preference for contact? Is it tangible business cards or the new modern sleek QR codes? Which direction?
Oh man, it's so funny because I'm like none of those things.
Really? Is it right?
So I mean, like what I do is I just straight up have my email open at a networking event, and I literally just hit, because like my thing is I don't want to give my card out to people because like I've just done it enough to know like no one's going to call you back. And so it's just like,
or they get lost, or
exactly. And so what I do is I also like to batch my emails. So I'll take like a week or 2 weeks of networking, and I will like log them all in my email, and then they'll all go into a mass email, like based on like where they are compartmentalized, and then I'll send them all out. But it's like, I don't like Blink because it's like, the problem again with those, like all those is like, there's like a awkwardness in the conversation. There's a weird flow. And it's like, one thing that everyone can do is they can put their email in. I just be like, hey, write your email in here, put your email down, and I'll shoot you stuff. And then it's just like, boom.
And so I've never heard
of that. I just learned something new today.
So oh my gosh. It's like, it's easy.
Doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it goes to a lot of events. And so like, maybe that's a better way for me to just.
And then you can put your put this, I have like subject lines that I choose that I want them to like, so it's like if I want to send you entrepreneur stuff, then I just say, I'll send you entrepreneur stuff. Then I just type in, I'll send you entrepreneur stuff, and then all of those are in like a big row now, and then I can always go back to them. Okay. So now I have like a whole list. So maybe I missed some people from 2 weeks ago. So then I can catch back with them now and mark them in my CRM and just know, okay, well now I've emailed them. So it's like, now you have it all like compartmentalized in your email. So it's like, because I think the other thing is like it's hard to keep track of like business cards and you lose them, whatever. So that's what I would do.
No, I love that, and I was gonna say I will be taking it and sticking it in my pocket.
Blink. People be like, they're like, oh God, like what do I do? And then when people give me a blink, I'm like, oh okay, here I go. I gotta go type all my info in here, and then and then it goes to my update folder, and I lose track of it, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. So
it is, and I'm really gonna take that. That is something.
All right, well, hey, it works for me. I don't know, it doesn't work for everybody.
We are like our audience is learning at this point. Yes, each one teach one. As we talk about settings, more about what time, not time of day, but almost, would you rather a coffee happy hour or coffee meetup, or would you rather a happy hour meetup? Weird, trying to, do business.
Man, I'll tell you, I prefer Monday, Tuesday meetups because those are the days that no one does events. But coffee or I mean honestly, I think I prefer evening meetups because like coffee meetups are kind of like, although my most attended event is definitely coffee meetups. So it's like it's like the right time for everybody, but the evening I think you have more time to like, because like if it's in the morning, I'm kind of like, okay, I got to get this done because I got other stuff I got to do. But at evening, it's like, it's like time constraint. Like I can stay a little later in the evening ones because I can be like, oh, okay, I planned for this. I can take some time, whatever. So.
No, I like that a lot. And I, as someone who would have chosen the coffee time, I think for me, it's like, I didn't really understand the value of like a happy hour connection. Like to me, I understand it in networking, but to me, it's like 9 to 5, professional, like strict confines and lines. But you make a great point and have enlightened me to understand more of like, okay, like no, like the edge is kind of off at the end of the day. You're winding down. It might promote more genuine connection because you're kind of going through that process of getting into your personal life. So I appreciate this because I don't think I saw it from that side of, no, genuinely.
I think that's also a cultural thing. Like in New Orleans, I think I've like anybody that and everybody that moves here, I'm like, you're gonna network more after 5 in New Orleans and Louisiana than you ever do in like a DC or whatever. Like because we're such like a communal culture, and like we like to celebrate, we like to eat, as we talked about Thanksgiving. So it's like they're just so, you know, most of our events are, oh, we have, and you know, like you have a nice champagne for us usually, like you'll have a charcuterie board, like we're such like a social community and culture. So I do feel like it's a lot more after 5 meetups. So.
Well, no, Josh, I really appreciate you sharing all of this. I feel like we learned a lot. It was a fun game. But I kind of want to move us to our next segment and talk more about how you've built up these spaces for people to connect, and not just the conversation of exchanging the info, but like what happens beyond that. So our segment 3 is called Building Community and Connection. And we really want to focus on how you built not only the communities, but the trust within them. And what does that look like, and what has the power of building those connections looked like for you in New Orleans? Like, how has your life changed maybe in some of that? And so for my first question, I want to ask, what was your approach to building a community that felt or feels authentic and not transactional? Like, how did you toe that line of, I genuinely want to help people, I also genuinely need some help, but I don't want this to feel like a tit for tat or, I don't know, inauthentic or disingenuous?
Well, it's probably not the best answer, but I definitely did it for free and I mean, it's like slowly incorporating it. I mean, like, I think everything starts out like with sweat equity, but it's like, I guess like, but more, that's like kind of I would say even still, a lot of free things come off as inauthentic. And so to really hone in on like what authenticity means, I think to me, the biggest gap, again, going back to the gaps, is like in these community spaces, it's like they've like given up on like wanting to make these things the best things they don't, like at the end of the day, people just, there's like a lack of like care to, like there's a lot of people that want the communities to succeed, but there's a lot of lack of understanding of how to make those communities succeed. And so there's a lot of, basically it comes down to the simple question. It's like, what I try to do every time that I'm in an event that I host or I'm a part of, I always ask the question, how can we make this better? Like what did you like? What did you not like? What could I do that's better? When I'm talking to people outside of there, you know, are there things you don't like, you do like, what are you missing? Because I think it comes off as authentic, and it is authentic if you really are trying to make it really well, really a good event. And you know, they see that when you do that. So I think that to me is like the biggest thing, is like, if I guess at the end of the day, if you authentically care, then it will come off as authenticity, you know? So yeah, it's kind of, but I think the most authentic thing you can do is ask questions.
Okay. I feel like that probably helps people to come back to events, because sometimes, like, we know people, especially if it's free event, they're like, okay, I'm gonna come to this one, then maybe not the next one, but you have, with that, building the trust of people, and like they are seeing the value in it. I feel like that helps them come back more and more. I do want to ask, since you do so much, how do you feel like you balance your you being a connector with like your business, especially with Comfystone?
I would say that's definitely, I mean, I think what my hope was to use it. That's definitely the big crux of where I'm at, because I think the hope was to use it as a tool that was, business development for Comfystone and stuff like that. But I think the spot that I've realized that I'm in, which I think is also good, is it's different, but it's not our core clientele that I'm serving. So it's like, So it is a different audience. So now I'm having to like split time, which is tough because now it's like, now you have to start making the hard choices. Like where do you stand, you know? And so, but because kind of like, you know, I think, it's tough because like I think that the community, because really the community that I serve, and this is probably just a good definition to get out the gate, is like, it is the entrepreneur, like there is things for entrepreneurs everywhere, but there's no glue entrepreneur group that kind of like speaks to the entrepreneurs that are like just starting or just now growing, getting out of that phase of just being from pre-revenue to like starting to have employees, and like, and it's like those people don't really have a strong community, and so I think that's the community that I serve right now, but that makes it tough, you know, because like, you know, when you have a professional video company, you know, it's a little more expensive than just hiring, you know, some guy down the street. So, but it's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there.
No, that's good, because it's just like it is something that I feel like I, you know, have to think about, as well as like, okay, I do so much in the media space and being so social, but then also have other ventures and things I want to do. It's like, how do I balance it all and like still have energy and time for myself?
Yeah.
And then also like to the point of like free events versus paid. What is my community? Can they afford this? Like all those things are just thoughts
balancing,
that I have like
acts.
Myself and trying to figure it out. So I appreciate.
But it helps you understand your business. I mean, like I'm like learning, like I think the biggest thing that is a missing thing that I'm learning the most out of this community is like productizing your business. And I think that's something that we've struggled with as a video company. So it's like, there are things that I'm learning from it too, but it's like, sometimes it doesn't translate apples to apples. Like, give me those sales, you know, when you're talking. You know, like, at the end of the day, businesses need to make money, and that's the bottom line. So,
That's true.
Hey, that is always the end goal. And since we're talking about end goal and end game, I kind of want to pivot the discussion just a tad. Bianca and I have this saying when it comes to New Orleans of like, the land either accepts or rejects you. And if I'm not mistaken, you are a transplant?
Yes. I mean, I'm like from a smaller version of this city, which is Mobile. So, like, you know, we're like, you know, hey, you know, I was basically, you know, people love to say the birthplace of Mardi Gras. I'm just like, listen, I just lived there. You know, it's not a big deal. Like, whatever. I don't care, man. It's all love, you know. It's like, you know.
But I bring it up to say, I think that the land has obviously accepted you. It suits you very well. You've been here long enough to where it does feel like you are homegrown. New Orleans, with a shout out to Mobile. But I bring that up because I ask, you know, with you pouring so much into this community and you doing so for such a long time, when we think about a goal state of what community looks like in New Orleans, whether that be, you know, entrepreneurship or just genuine connection in community spaces like what you're curating, what does that look like over a time period in the future for you? Like, where do you see community in entrepreneurship and like professionalism for young professionals being in the next 5 to 10 years with you spearheading all of these amazing efforts and being Josh?
So kind of more so less about community. I guess your question's asking me on like the perspective of like where I want the community to exist, or where I want like the community of New Orleans or my community personally.
I would say, like if you had to give a forecast, right, of what the next 5 years looks like for community in New Orleans from your lens, what does that look like?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess like, because I guess, it doesn't really matter. I'll qualify both, because at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, it's like from this perspective where it's like, I think hopefully I'm still going at it in 5 years, and that in 5 years it's making an impact on the city of New Orleans. And hopefully, you know, what we're seeing is like the changing of community groups from like changing from the sense of like, you know, I think that what I really hope is that from a lens of New Orleans, there's a lot of phrases like, well, that's just New Orleans. And honestly, I think about it this way too, because I think that like, I went to your event recently, which was really cool. Thanks for having me. But it was like, what was so eye-opening to me is that like, you know, as like New Orleans is a very community-driven environment and city. But what's so interesting to me is like going to your event, there was like, well, there was somebody I knew, but it was like very few people that I knew, even though we are in very similar circles.
And it was very intentional.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's like, and my thing is like, the communities of New Orleans, and especially in the entrepreneurship communities, are so insular. Like they're so siloed. Like it's probably one of the most siloed cities. I don't know how, I've never like spent enough time in other cities like to know how siloed they are, and they probably are too. But it's just that like the main goal of what I hope to achieve with what I'm building is that it is that glue between those silos, because I guarantee you like 90% of the people that are in my group don't know half of the incubator programs that are going on in the city. They don't know about, and they're all entrepreneurs, they're all business owners. They don't know any of these like things that are long-standing things. Like some of them didn't even know what a chamber event was. So it's like there is just a lack of awareness and like connection there. So it's like being able to be that net that can catch people and put them in the right places, I think is what's missing, and that can help level things up. And then hopefully there's an advocacy group, because I think the other thing that New Orleans is missing, that like all these, I mean, these big organizations have the opportunity to gather, is data on these people to be able to say like, hey, here's what they need, you know, here's what entrepreneurs need, and you know, that way entrepreneurs can just, because there should just be like a way you can just type in Google like, what do I need to do? Right. And it's like, like where do I go? Like where's the small business thing? You know, it's like there isn't that, you know, and so that should exist. So hopefully that exists in the future. You know, man, had to really go deep in my noggin for that one. I was really thinking, you know. Yeah.
What you're saying speaks true, because when you were saying it, I was like, yes, less silos, more support. Because I think, again, going back to having that unique perspective as like fresh eyes into something, being a transplant, you can kind of see like just even the history of New Orleans and how it came. Like everyone knows where they're rooted. Like everyone can kind of backdate of like, oh, my ancestors are from, France or Haiti or whatever. And I think because of that, people stick within their communities a lot. Like even down to like the different crews. When you think of like Mardi Gras, it's like those crews in real life are typically always crews. Or if you think about the wards, it's like, oh, I'm in 7th Ward, I'm in 9th Ward. But I think to your point, there is a lot of opportunity for alignment, because we're more alike than we are different oftentimes than not. And I think just going back to the theme of the episode, we're stronger together. So I want to speak life into what you just shared with us. And I pray and hope and send all the positive vibes, and however we can contribute to that, to kind of closing some of those gaps. Because I do think if your brain can take us, forward in the next 5 years, New Orleans will be an even better and more beautiful place. So.
I agree, and I feel like we share that purpose of like connecting people, and like I'm so glad that you did not know majority of people at my event, because that was the whole intention of really bringing together. I would say for what I do is like bringing together different industries or people in different sectors in New Orleans, because it is so siloed. Somebody said it perfectly. They're like, New Orleans is a if you know, you know type of city, and all often functions just like you said, in all these different small groups. And I think I have loved, and what I do with NOLA Collective is like really highlight some of those subcultures and subgroups to where people can connect with them and build the link up to help bring some of those leaders together. So I'm really glad you did not know.
It's working.
It's good. When I tell you I love the facilitation, I was like, okay, great. I was like, okay, y'all don't know each other. I'm putting you in groups that you don't know anyone, but it's really because like I hope the same for New Orleans, of like really breaking down a lot of those silos, especially when it comes to resources. So you are a great resource, and that's why like you are somebody I always recommend people to know, because you are somebody who can give them that knowledge.
Nice.
So I also, as we segue into our next section, you have a new project that I kind of want to get into, because as we talk about the future of New Orleans, I feel like this, I only went to one, we only had one, but you are building something that is really innovative and really it's different. I've never been to an event like that. So what I'm speaking to is Josh, and I mentioned it earlier, Josh has started a new project series called Brand Intervention. And I would love for you to tell us more about what that is and basically what do you hope that to become, and how do you feel like it will change New Orleans business community?
Yeah, well, I will say brand intervention is what happens when you have someone like me who's just a regular Joe with 3 hella awesome, crazy, hardworking and talented individuals that make it look way more awesome than it should be. So I mean, Maggie, Becky, Sarah, all 3 of them are all different creatives, and basically the event, I mean, it's not a great source material, but I was for a while I had this idea. If you need an idea, let me tell you, I got ideas. But but I had this idea, right? So I was I had this idea because I had seen in the past this show called Kill Tony, which is for people that don't know what Kill Tony is, he's not my favorite person in the world by any stretch of the means, but it's basically a show where stand-up comics can go up there and practice in front of they do a set, a short set, and then he has a panel of comedians that I mean, they kind of roast them more mean-spiritedly, but ours is a little different, where it's we bring up in a similar sense, bring up a business and have 4 professionals, branding, social media, PR, video sales, kind of get up there, listen to what their brand is, and kind of give a live basically therapy / strategy session for them. And so
we're in the audience.
And the audience is watching that. And instead of a panel, it's I feel I'm trying to get people away. It's you think about it, it's just all the events are all the same. It's I mean, you got the same old event, you got the same networking event, you got the same panel event. It's people are tired of panels, because it's just you go to a panel and you're just well, how does that manifest in the real world? It's just there's no, people want to see, people watch reality shows for a reason, because that's happening in the moment. And it's how do we make, wouldn't it be better if the panel was actually addressing something real and raw in the moment? So that's kind of what that whole show is about. And then Sarah, shout out to her, makes an awesome website and branding for it, and Maggie gets us in all the cool places, and then Becky's just making us look cool on social. So, and I'm just hey, that's cool. I'm here. I like to say I'm a good MC. That's my
it was an amazing event, and I hope next time you're in town, they do have one, because it was different. And to your point, it's usually the networking mixers are the same, panels are the same. It is usually, kind of okay, well, what's different about it? Yeah. But that was something different. I was glad I came. I came a little bit late, but
you got in there when it counted,
I got in right on time, and I was oh, this is different. I like this.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. And I really appreciate you giving reverence to your dream team and the people behind you, because it takes a village to put things together like this. It's not, again, the theme. We're all stronger together, and it takes a lot of hands to have events or brands or projects come together into fruition and be successful. So I think it's great that not only do you pour into people by way of your mentorship and your guidance, but you also give them visibility and you uplift them. I think that is amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To that point, if anybody wants to tap in or learn more about brand intervention at this stage, how should they look to connect with you? And you're amazing.
Well, there's a website.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys do little, but there's a website. That'll be a brand intervention website. There's also a social page you can follow for the next one. It'll be at the start of next year.
Okay.
And we have that in the works. Also, if you're a business that wants to apply, the application is on the website, because basically we'll take all applications for businesses that want to have their brand intervened in, and then we'll review them and pick one. But we also take live questions from the audience, and we're going to try to do more concerted effort to do that for the next one. But yeah, so brand intervention, it'll be all in the wherever it is, wherever we put things.
Fine, and then we'll grab it and share it with our audience.
Throw it out there.
Yes. In the meantime, I will say, the next time that you plan on having an event, have your people call my people so that I can come.
All right.
Yes, I would love. I will make the trip for sure.
We'll get those digits.
We'll
put them on.
We will email each other to
yeah.
have contacts.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll set it up that way.
Oh, I like it. There we go. That's how we do it. That's how we do it.
I feel like this has been a great episode of just, I've learned so much, and I say that I feel like all the time, but you definitely, and we know each other already, but like I've learned so much from you in this time of just like, I'm like, okay, I need to do this differently for my own self with networking. And I think it's just a great segue to just like reflect, just because we talk so much about all the things you do, from the connection, the networking, your business. If you could just leave like one gem to this generation's entrepreneurs and builders in New Orleans and beyond, wherever you see fit, what would be the one thing that you would say to them, especially as they go along on their journey?
One gem to new entrepreneurs?
Yes. Yeah. So your audience, how you say pre-revenue to starting to have employees.
One gem for them. I feel like what I would say is my biggest. So when I think about all of the programs that the most successful businesses and the most successful programs, a lot of times they point to one thing that they really got out of those programs the most. And it was the mentorship that program offered. And so in my mind, if you want, and like that, I mean, honestly, and there was one person that I met that I think was the most impressive person to me. And he was just grinding. Like every day he was like trying to talk to people, get into rooms, talk this, do that. And I think that like at the end of the day, the more you can, and this isn't going to work like apples to apples. Like you have to find, like if you're a more introverted person, you'll have to find your own way to do it. But like the more you are talking to other people, the more opportunities are going to come. So it's just like especially, it's tough because when you're starting out in your business, like, I mean, there's so many, things you got to do. But I think the more you can be in touch with other people and get more perspective, the better off you'll be. And so that's probably, that's what comes to my mind right out the gate is like, I see the most opportunity when I'm like talking to people. And I feel like times where I'm not talking to as many people, I'm like, oh man, like what is going on? I have no ideas anymore. It's like, it's just like people, and like, I guess like really what, this episode's all about is people are what drive us as individuals, but also like, those problems that I brought up about networking, like perfecting your pitch, all that comes from other people, like that comes from like interacting with people, practicing your pitch. Because like your pitch comes from surveying, and your surveying comes from people. So it's like, at the end of the day, in order to have a successful business, you need to be interacting with people, whether it's your customer, most importantly, your customer. Yeah. Like, I think if anything, listen, I'm so long-winded and you're going to be like, what the heck, he's talking about so much. But at the end of the day, all right, I figured it out. The number one thing you can do is talk to your customers like all the time. Be their best friend, get to know them, what's their pain points. The more you know your core clientele, your core customer, the more you're going to get out of life. And so like, I think that would be my little gem.
Okay, that is a great reminder of just being present in your business and making sure that you're always assessing, essentially. And just, we talked about this in previous episodes of just like making sure that, there is purpose behind everything you do. And, your customers are your people, they are your community.
I think beyond that too, when you think of it in the sense of entrepreneurship, you're kind of showcasing how much your voice of customer is your lifeline to success. Yeah. And so I think another takeaway from what you're saying is like, don't be afraid to be seen trying. Like that's a big part of it as well, is like, go out there, make the connections, do the cold calls, like connect with people to see what it is that they really need. And like going back to the beginning of the conversation, like if people have problems and you're the answer, how do you know if you're the answer if you're not surveying what's going on? What do people need? What do they want? Like maybe needs are met. What are people just hoping for? Looking to like maybe have is like a break to the monotony in their day to day or whatever their systems are or whatever their problems are. So I really appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
I've loved becoming better acclimated with you. We already have our plan for how we're going to stay in touch.
That's right.
But if you don't mind looking in this camera and telling our guests how they can stay in touch with you, how they can connect with you outside of this, if they, I don't know if it's smoke signals, I don't know if it's email.
It is. I do look up in the sky like Batman. I check out every now and then. I'm
Literally,
like,
that was my next one.
what's going on up there? No, I would say probably the best way is through email. So I don't know if it's like, if my email can be just displayed somewhere.
Yes,
like,
I can make sure that it's in the details.
You can shoot me an email, and I can get you plugged in the right places. Basically, soon there'll be, by the time this happens, there probably will be an entity that exists down there. But in lieu of that, there will just be an email that exists, because basically direct email is great. The best way to get in touch with me, just say like SOS, help needed. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a professional, whatever it is. Like, I just get so much joy out of just helping people figure out their career paths. I don't care, it's just like whatever it is, like we're gonna get you there. But you just gotta most importantly, ask for help, because if you don't ask for help, it won't happen.
That's the first step. I think too, we mentioned, people don't even know what you need if you can't vocalize and say it. Like, how do I help you? You can't even tell me what you need help with. Yeah. So.
And I think it's a good reminder to always just be in a constant flow state of just, as you said, the more people you talk to, the more ideas that are forming, the more that you are moving forward in whatever you're doing. And seeing value in maybe not knowing a person, because I can still, the value is just a connection. I may learn something new from that person, whether I know what they do or what they don't do. So I think this is just overall just a good episode of just showing people how that connection is valuable and community is valuable as well.
Yeah. 100%. And Josh, we really do appreciate you taking out the time to come sit on our big comfy couch and chat with us and our audience, to just share your perspective, because I think, I will say, as someone who is a new entrepreneur, it's not like a traditional path where there might be an outline or a trajectory to follow. A lot of this is figuring it out. And today, I'm sure you've helped very many people, selves included. But from 5 to 10 to hundreds to thousands, wherever this will cascade, I'm sure that you've helped people figure out something today. And so I appreciate you imparting your knowledge and your wisdom, because that didn't come out of nowhere. You had to get in the field and figure it out, for years. So genuinely, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you guys for having me. Wow, this is what an honor to be on the illustrious podcast.
No, this is good, and we really appreciate you. And I will go ahead and close us out. So thanks everyone for listening to another episode of Standing on Business podcast. You can follow us at standonbusiness.pod and listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Bye y'all.
Bye y'all.